KTRS checking in on David Blaustein, who is an ABC entertainment editor. And I have some news about for David Blaustein, and he will swoon when I tell him this news. Do we have him?
Yes.
Okay, we do have David Blaustein, ladies and gentlemen. ABC News entertainment editor David Blaustein. Good morning, David Blaustein.
Should I hold on to my chair? I heard I'm going to swoon.
You are going to swoon. So last week I was in New York.
Oh, were you really?
Yes, and
well, thanks for calling.
And I was going to call you. But I got busy, and I actually the reason why I didn't call you was I didn't get another ticket for you to go to the Mets game with me. So I couldn't extend the invitation to you.
Like I would have been able to go with you anyway.
Right.
Like I wanted to go anyway. So anyway, I got seats that were 4 rows behind home plate. And guess who I sat next to?
Dwight Gooden.
Mr. and Mrs. Matt Harvey.
Come on.
Told you you'd swoon.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Are you holding on to your chair?
That was.
And then what happened?
Well, and then I bothered her the rest of the night since they couldn't wait for the game to be over with.
Wow.
They wanted to call security at one point. I said, all right, I'll be quiet. I'll leave you alone. No, they couldn't have been any nicer. It was really, they were very sweet. It was the game he pitched against the Giants where he was rocked and gave up all those home runs.
Oh, my God. How did they feel?
Well, they were very polite and, felt really bad. And, they just sort of, watched and rooted in their own quiet silence.
I would have laid my theory on them as to why he was pitching so poorly.
Which is what?
I thought it was the Jon Stewart curse. Like the 3 games after he appeared on The Daily Show,
yes,
he was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's true. I mean, he sort of he seems to have righted the ship. I mean, he was fairly dominant, not dominant in the typical Matt Harvey way the other day, because we saw him relying on the changeup a lot, which is good, and anything that gets it done and gets him back to form. But after he went on The Daily Show, he just lost it. I mean, you saw. Did you see it?
I did not see him on The Daily Show.
Well, Jon Stewart really, kissed his butt a lot.
Right. Allegedly,
and made him feel great, and rightfully so. And it was funny, but I really believe psychologically his appearance on The Daily Show did something to him, because it coincided. Like the very next day, he didn't pitch well in the following 2 performances.
Well, now I'm glad I didn't invite you to the game, because you really would have gotten us thrown out if you were laying that on Mr. and Mrs. Harvey.
No, I totally would have. No, I would have agreed. I would have told him, and they would have imparted that to him, and he would have thought about it. He would have internalized it and immediately turned it around. Maybe a game sooner.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's David Blaustein, who can, he can analyze Matt Harvey's pitching performance on Jon Stewart and tell us all about the new Disney movie Inside Out with St. Louisan Phyllis is starring in this. Tell us about Phyllis Smith is starring in Inside Out.
Oh, she's the voice of sadness, isn't she?
I believe she is, yes.
Oh, yeah, she's very good. She has a huge role in that movie.
Mm-hmm. She's a star. She can handle and carry a Disney movie. So tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, this is we have to get this out of the way. I am a Disney employee. I work for ABC. But as I've mentioned before, and as you've heard me do, I've trashed Disney movies before. I don't have a problem with that. Here, this is a movie that's created, written, and directed by Pete Docter, who I think really is Pixar's best storyteller. He's the guy who did Up, and the first 8 minutes of Up, maybe the best 8 minutes of any movie, rivals any movie in the world. So good and so emotional. He doesn't quite match that here, but this is still a very, very good movie with tons of imagination. And speaking of imagination, it explores the mind of a little girl named Riley. And according to this movie, in our minds are governed by, all of our emotions are represented by little characters or little people, like joy and sadness and anger and vanity. And, so all of that stuff is represented by a little person that's running around in your head, and they control you. They can see what you see through video, and memories are created, and every time a memory is created, a little ball rolls into the room with that memory, and there are core memories. And, it's a fairly original idea. It reminded me of the show, I think from, I don't remember if it was the late 80s or the early 90s, Herman's Head. Mm-hmm. That reminded me of that a little. But it's just a terrific movie, and being a dad of 2 little girls, I love the fact that the main character, all the main characters in this movie are female, which is great, and they're intelligent and good role models, and I think much better than Brave. Brave, for instance, is a Disney movie that I could not stand and still do not like to this day, and I don't think I don't think Merida is necessarily a good role model for girls for a number of reasons. But anyway, this one is a solid 4 out of 5 stars.
All right, good. What is Dope?
Dope was the darling of Sundance. This was a movie that commanded it was purchased at Sundance for $7 million on the very low end. And I know you love John Hughes movies, right?
Who doesn't?
All right. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you feel about Spike Lee, but I'm a huge fan of Spike Lee's early movies, and they're part of the reason why I became so passionate about film. I'm a very big fan of Do the Right Thing. I also like the movie Risky Business. This is all three of those things combined.
Wow.
This is like The Breakfast Club meets Do the Right Thing with a little bit of Risky Business thrown in. And I think this movie is another movie that's really terrific. It's not perfect. It has some problems. It gets a little too cute with the coincidences in the storyline and the screenplay. But the main character in this movie is a kid named Malcolm. He's 17 years old. He lives in the worst neighborhood in Los Angeles, but the way he is and and what he represents doesn't jibe with the rest of the neighborhood. He is completely informed by 90s hip-hop. He is rocking a kid-and-play haircut. He listens to all of his 90s hip-hop on a Sony Walkman and a cassette tape, and he and his two best friends have a punk rock band that are like a pop-punk rock band that are actually pretty good. To boot, he's a computer hacker and on the verge of getting into Harvard. But, watching him maneuver his way through what that neighborhood is about and also getting mixed up with a drug dealer in sort of an unconventional way, and what he does to solve his issue is very much along the lines and plays into the zeitgeist of the millennial generation. And it's like the filmmaker he is definitely co-opting from those movies, but it's very much like what these kids are doing in the movie, how there's a white kid who's co-opting from black culture, black kids that are co-opting from white culture, kids in millennials co-opting from 90s culture, but to make something original and fresh, which is something that I'm perfectly fine with, and I think artistically it's a terrific message. This is a very solid 4 out of 5 stars, and again, I'm taking a star off because I didn't like the forced coincidences that happen in the screenplay. It could have been better than that, but there are a lot of great things going on. It's a quotable movie, and I think there are a lot of kids, no matter how this does at the box office this weekend, I think this eventually becomes a cult classic, and a lot of kids are really going to love this movie.
Can't wait to see it. To come full circle, running into famous people, I ran into Radio Raheem at a bar in Denver one time.
That's insane.
And I walked up to him and I'm like, you look familiar. I was standing at the bar next to him. I'm like, you look familiar. He's like, I know what you're talking about. And finally I'm like, you're Radio Raheem. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Because he never
That's
hears
unbelievable.
that.
And he was, and he's like, okay, I got to go. See you later. And I was like, I always do that. I always embarrass myself in front of semi-famous people.
That's not surprising whatsoever. Because you know what? You know why you do that? Because every time you pose for a picture with one of them, you point at them.
That's
Yes,
exactly
he
right.
does,
That's exactly
David.
right. David Blaustein, have a good weekend. Thanks for checking in.
Take care. Bye.
All right. ABC News Entertainment editor David Blaustein likes Inside Out and likes this new movie, Dope. Mm-hmm. All right, good. 8:30 here. Traffic weather next year. Big 550 KTRS. You know what I like?